Welcome to the Hot Pot Insights show. I'm Kunkit and I'm here to bring you the perspective and insights of extraordinary people in ordinary lives. A podcast for those who are looking to embark on a journey of discovery and growth.
Hi, my next guest, he studied tea before creating his bubble tea business, Society. Right now, even he is helping Singapore SMEs staying afloat in current economic downturn. You may follow him on Instagram at Society, SOCIETA.SG, on Instagram for their seasonal flavors itself. Please welcome my friend, Louis Liu. Hi, Louis.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Yeah.
All right, great. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, maybe can you tell us more about your journey in terms of entrepreneurship? Maybe you can add in your flavors of like why F&B. Understanding from you, you have always been in love with food, drinks, maybe even party as well. So maybe you can let us know a bit more.
Yeah, so I actually did a diploma in Temasek Poly, became culinary science. So I guess that is something that was always in my life. Like I've always been a fat kid, so I always like to eat and enjoy delicious food since young. So it's something that stayed with me throughout my life. So when I actually started working, I was pretty much unhappy with doing just a regular job.
95, right?
Yeah, so that actually transpired into a business opportunity. So me and my wife started Society as a passion project because we love bubble tea. So we have always tried a lot of different bubble teas all around Singapore. When we went to overseas as well, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China. So it's a very Asian thing. So we started the society with the intent to actually create more, I would say, contrasting flavors into tea. So we actually use fresh herbs like rosemary, uh, fresh thyme, fresh sage, and mixing with fruity flavors um, like oranges, citrusy flavor, or even fresh raspberry. So this kind of a concoction, I would say, it's actually what sparked off the journey. So we wanted to do something different because all the bubble tea shop were selling traditional milk tea. So we wanted something different that people can look for when they want something refreshing. For myself, I do drink milk tea, but my go-to drink will be tea itself. Like I prefer just just pure tea without sugar. Um, but of course, I'm open to trying new drinks. So
So
when we
what's Society most popular flavor?
okay, so uh, well, we what you start with is always a bit different from the result that you get. So our actual bestseller is this Korean milk tea, which we created using Korean barley, and so it's a milk tea lah. It's not our herby drink that is the most popular. Yeah, but we do still sell the herb infused drinks. More, I guess it takes time for people to actually get used to the flavor. So, but we are still gaining traction. Yeah, slowly.
That's good to hear. So I think last time when we spoke about this, you did mention to me that you did try a lot of different types of tea leaf to be able to concoct your flavors as well. Maybe can you share with us your journey in that
Oh
as
yeah,
well?
yeah. So I actually work with a supplier in China. So we really tried. I think easily 100 different type of tea to really understand because in fact, China is the birthplace of tea. Taiwanese tea tend to be more popular because they actually have different flavor profile that I think it appeals to the younger crowd. Then for myself, I also do enjoy all this Taiwanese tea, but we actually work mostly with China tea. So we have this tea called Lam Sam Su Chong. It's actually black tea that has been smoked over pine wood. So we found the flavor very interesting. That we actually made it into milk tea. It's actually very intense, and the flavor is very much different from the normal like black, the classic milk tea that you drink.
So
So that's one of
normal
the.
classic black tea, right? Like where usually do they source it from? Like how would
Oh,
normal people know the different profile of the flavor? Like how can they tell the difference?
It actually, you have to try quite a few different teas to get a bit of acquire the kind of palette to differentiate. But I think if even for very seasoned drinkers, right, if the tea is pretty much manufactured the same way, is also a bit tougher to discern between the two. Yeah. So, but of course, for us, we just try to get the more for the price range, reasonably priced for bubble tea shop kind of tea leaf. Yeah.
I see, but still maintaining a relatively high quality in that sense.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. Then I was also lucky to actually I got to know a friend. She works with I don't know if you know Wu Yisan. It's Fujian in Fujian province. There's this very famous mountain range where this Da Hong Pao comes from.
Mhm.
Da Hong Pao. Yeah. So this is one of the I would say most famous tea in China, the whole of China. Yeah. So I was very fortunate to meet her. Then we managed to get very high quality town hall from this supplier. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
So how does this tea leaf is different from the previous one you mentioned? So in terms of
Okay,
flavor
so
profile, like,
it is actually the way that it's prepared. So the tea itself, right? Every tea actually comes from a same plant. So it's the tea plant. Then the way that it processed, right, it is processed, will give it different flavor. Of course, the region and everything plays a part, but the main thing is the processing. So the the tea plant itself can produce red tea, green tea, oolong tea. It's all the same plant. Yeah. So it's a bit of fun fact, huh? And I
wow.
actually came to realize, yeah, because initially I was thinking like, where's the? Because I went to the plantation, and I was like, where's the what red tea plant, or is this the red tea plant? Then managed to actually find out that they're all the same.
Wow,
Yeah.
I think that is not a fact that a lot of people know. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. So is it the same for Indian teas as well? So like the
Um,
Dijani tea as well?
yeah, so for Indian tea, they tend to do a method called CTC, cut, tear, and curl. So it becomes like a little pellet form of tea. And the way they process it, it actually develops a very strong, distinct flavor for Indian teas. We are actually also experimenting with Indian tea currently. We're thinking of doing like masala chai tea for its health benefits.
Wow, wow.
So that's
Then usually
something.
how long is the process, like average process for such process for making the tea leaf ready for exportation?
Uh, I'm not exactly very sure in the specifics, lah, but it can range from a few weeks to a few months.
Wow.
Yeah, depending on the how it's processed. Yeah, but generally the lighter teas will take lesser time to process. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So I understand that during COVID, this period, I think business were affected as well. I understand that you also had pivoted into various other roles to help supporting with both cash flow and as well as your whole business as a whole. Currently, what are you working at right now?
Okay, so during circuit breaker, we were quite fortunate in the sense that we managed to partner with a restaurant to offer delivery. So by then was a very very busy period because everyone was scrambling to find where can I buy bubble tea, and that period I think we actually did a pretty good job by acting fast enough to capture the market. And I think, yeah, looking back, it was a very tough period as well. We had to be the driver, deliverer, and so we actually made the tea, and then we had to deliver the tea.
Yeah.
And yeah, we actually worked very, very long hours.
Yeah, but at least it helps the company and business tide through the period itself.
Yeah, and so right now we are actually um, still, I would say, because of the location, we require the tourists to come back. The street of Bencoolen itself has about 7 hotels. Yeah, so we are in the lobby of one of the hotels, and I think the students are starting to come back, but I think half of them are still having online classes. So it'll take some time for our business to bounce back.
Makes sense. Then what are you currently doing now to help, say, your own business and other SMEs out there?
All right. So I actually took on a role with my background in finance. So I'm actually helping SME tide through this period. This I would say economy downturn by offering SME loans to this company who need them. So this is actually I would say an initiative by government to help a lot of business owners really pull through and hopefully survive this period together.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If any listeners out there whose business is looking at trying to breach through this period or trying to go to the next level, and you require some funding, some loans, feel free to reach out to Luis. He will be able to help you with that as well.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Yeah, so I guess now you are very much split between both the loan portion, like the bridging loan supporting SME as well as your business. So like, what's your time split between these two?
I would say maybe 70-30 because actively uh, as a business owner you have to think where your money comes from, and currently my job is sustaining my lifestyle lah. And 30% effort into the business is because uh, I would say in terms of revenue, everything is pretty much stagnant. Yeah,
Okay.
so always have to um, I think act fast lah, in the sense that you have to save yourself.
That's
And
true. That's true. Makes sense.
do whatever it takes to keep afloat.
Makes sense. So if you are able to look back, right, for your business itself, is there any processes that you could have simplified to make it more efficient, cost effective?
I think uh, one major thing would be the cost of freight forwarding. So as our business, I mean, most of our supplies are from Taiwan, China, and various parts of the world. So really, the shipping cost can be uh, uh, very high lah, in that sense. So before we started, we should have actually contacted a few to do a price comparison. But for us, we actually didn't do that, and we incurred quite a bit of shipping costs in the initial months until we actually found a better freight forwarder for us. Because the amount that we take in can potentially be quite a huge amount, so it adds up to a bit. Yeah.
Definitely. I guess now that you're in both shoes where you are your own boss as well as I think maybe like a partial employee as well. Like, is there any misconception or myth in terms of having doing both at the same time, or like people who want to do like full entrepreneurship, having their own business itself, or should they like start off like something at the side, as I think what you mentioned about like something like a side project or passion project for society before like stepping full foot into society, or should they maintain both sides?
Me personally, I believe in being uh, engaged in the business that you are uh, intending to start. So I have never been like sleeping partner before. So in that sense, I prefer to do things myself and actually familiarize myself with the business. Um, if you're talking about like setting up business and letting it self run in the future, I think it's workable. But first, you got to know your business, and I think it takes quite a bit of time. And frankly, as an employed person, I don't think you really have that luxury of time. So really sacrifices have to be made now. Could be after work, before your work. Got to put in enough time to actually uh, plan and prepare for the business itself. Yeah.
So for yourself and your wife, before the start of society, right? Like, how much time do you put into researching, identifying such gaps in the bubble tea industry, as well as like what is the matrix to say, okay, this ticks off certain checkbox, let's go ahead with this, like opening of this store.
Um, for me, I had the luxury of time. So at that point, I actually left the Air Force. So I had about, I think, 2, 3 months really thinking of where to go next. And then this opportunity came up. And so we actually took, I think, a good 2 full months to really map out our business plan, where we go from here and what's our target market, all this. Um, so all this has to be actually planned for. So obviously, uh, like I mentioned just now, right, your plan may not be in line with whatever happens, because consumer trend can change, and a lot can change during the actual operations. But at least we had this very solid plan to fall back on. So whenever things actually went a bit rough, we fall back on our actual business plan, and from there we actually map out certain routes that we can take. And that's when it always has to be I guess never ending process of like reviewing and then rolling out. Like for bubble tea shop, we also are constantly doing R&D to launch new flavors, keep the customers engaged, and also social media, etc. So it's I would say very time consuming process. Uh, so it's really once you step into business, you have to be prepared to fork out the hours.
So in I think following up with that question is like what really motivates you and your wife, like why go into business, right? Like what really motivates you?
For me, I guess I just like the feeling. So when I was when I was working in the shop myself, I actually actively sought for people to give us feedback and see how we can improve. And all these feedbacks were mostly positive, thankful, thankfully. So I guess like getting that kind of like approval is what keeps me going. On our Google, we also I think 4.6 or 7 stars, which is pretty decent. And I tend to keep it that way now, so that you know, because if there's any way we can improve, definitely we will look into it, and then from there take it to the next level now. But of course, right now I would say might be a bit tough, but we would still like to open more shops in the future if possible.
Wow, over more shops. I can't remember exactly, but how old is Society already?
We just celebrated our first anniversary in July, so it is 1 year and 4 months.
Nice, nice. Yeah, because I think there is quite this norm going around and in Singapore, at least in the F&B industry, is that usually cafes, food outlets don't tend to last more than 3 years. Like, what made you to have that dedication to okay, just put this aside, let's focus on our business plan, go ahead with this.
I guess one thing is overheads. Our shop definitely cannot compare to cafes overheads, whereby their monthly could be uh, easily 20-30K you're looking at in terms of just overheads. So ours is much lower, but definitely we went with a very strong belief lah. So in the sense that we want to succeed lah, and I guess that is what is keeping us alive until now. Um, we believe in also the quality that we have. Eventually, customers will have to grow. The customer base has to grow over a certain X amount of time. So I guess in that sense, the longer you are in the business, it probably gets easier.
Makes
That's what I
sense.
believe in.
Makes sense. So, what are the check marks to achieve before opening the next new store? I guess, or like will it be Singapore or anywhere overseas?
Um, Actually, to be frank, my next venture might not be bubble tea immediately. Looking at Mookata
Wow. Okay.
right now, it's all like the trend. So yeah, it's just getting to the drawing board lah. See if we can do something. Yeah, but I think for society, if we were to expand overseas, uh, it might potentially work in China. I have been there a couple of times. Have to do more like research, to be honest.
Okay. Like, what's the matrix that okay, now it's time to go ahead with opening a new outlet?
Well, I guess once you have enough cash flow, once your customer base, your recurring is you have a strong base, I would say, then probably it's time to look at another outlet. It's very different from the brands that you see coming into Singapore, because these people probably have deeper pockets and uh, they are able to one shot, map out the whole island. Okay, we're gonna have like all the points, North Point, East Point, West Point. While for small business like us, we can't do that. we really have to strategize. Then from there, if our business is successful, we look at another potential area where we can grow our influence. Yeah. So I think if there is any potential locations that is favorable, then we will consider.
Okay, that's cool. I'm curious, like you mentioned about you being motivated by the business itself. Is there any mentors that you do work with, like right now, like to help you bring you to this level?
Um, Actually, to be honest, we really that's one of the regrets as well. We really should have found someone to guide us instead of bumping our heads here and there, trying to find the right direction. So in that sense, we really went in blind, but thankfully we are not hurt too badly because in fact getting a mentor is one of the best ways you can really have a best outcome because
Better odds of
if we
getting a
had,
better
yeah,
outcome.
if we had a mentor, we probably would have strategized differently. Then again, the results could be very different because we might not even open in where we are. We might go to a shopping mall somewhere. Yeah, so I think, but I mean, having said that, I think we are generally happy with where we are now. Yeah.
Are you looking for a mentor right now?
Uh, I guess if there is any, I wouldn't mind having free advice.
So the mentor, like in which specific area, like as a business in general or specific to like the F&B industry?
I think general business lah, because even though my passion is in F&B, I don't constrain myself in that sense. Yeah. So business, end of the day, if you are very into it or very into like those serial entrepreneurs, they tend to have business in all different sectors.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I think I wouldn't mind having a mentor.
Yeah. Then you personally have to look out in the following podcasts. I think we do have a few guests in the lineup that I think maybe you can take away some info and tips and tricks as well.
Hey, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I think maybe since we talk about business journey so far, right? Who is this entrepreneurship not for?
Mm, actually, I'm sure you have all of us have one or two friends that are always talking about doing something, but they don't actually do it. So I think business, right? Uh, the step forward is the most important because really, if all you have all the plans in the world, you have all the funds in the world, but you don't take that step, then it's never gonna happen. So I think in business sense, if you are the person that never takes that step, then I think it's not for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could it be
I
because
mean,
they are filled with like doubts or anything?
look at it this way, everything that we do is a risk. Even your employment could be a risk. You never know, your company might just close down in the next few months. So there's always certain elements of risk in whatever we do. And so I would say take the calculated risk. Really, if you're interested to do a business, map out everything, and then you probably have a clearer understanding of this business. Is it workable, first of all? Then, if it's workable, you map out your finances and then see how long you can last in that sense, that's your risk, because what's the maximum amount of X amount of months that you're willing to take a hit before closing down, and that's your maximum risk. Could it be 50, 100K? Yeah, so I think end of the day, as I think youngsters lah, we are not that old, 29, so we still have a long journey ahead. Even if we lose this pot of gold, I call it, it's not the end of the road. You can always earn back the money. Of course, it takes time lah. Just that if you never take the step, you might be wondering like 10 years down the road, wow, what if I had started this business? You know, where would I be? I prefer not to live with that regret. So my wife is very, I would say, grounded. So I tend to be more of the risk taker in that sense. Yeah.
At least it balance out.
Yeah. So it's a winning combination.
It is. It is. All right. I do have a question. So far in your business or entrepreneur journey itself, like what is the most worthwhile investment? Worthwhile investment that you have ever made? It could be investment in money, investment in time, or energy that you spend on.
Most worthwhile.
Yeah.
Maybe my son. Yeah, he's not an investment lah, definitely. I would say. But I think the best in terms of like having a kid is really something that beats all other feelings. The joy that you get from him lah. Yeah. But aside from that, maybe right now, Tesla stocks.
Okay, maybe let's go back to your son. I think maybe some people might be in your shoes who they are in a marriage, they have a children, they might be deciding whether to go ahead with opening a business while having to take care of their children, right? So in that case, does it make it easier or more difficult in pivoting into businesses or away from businesses, like in your case, to sustain your lifestyle because you're able to cater back to your son, to your family, and all this as well?
Definitely, I think your time is very crucial once you have a kid, because he or she will take up easily half your resting hours, I would say. So whenever like at night, I go back home maybe about 8 or 9, and I spend that 2-3 hours. Right, that's the happiest day of my happiest time of the day that I have, and really seeing him grow up, and especially as right now I'm juggling between business and work. Right, the weekends are very very precious. Yeah, because I do have to work weekends time to time, so I don't have the luxury to spend as much time as I would like to with him. But end of the day, I think we all work hard for something, and when you get home and you see him smiling at you, I think you feel like, wow, it's all worth it. So it's something that I would think a lot of not couples with no kids, they probably don't understand this feeling, because I used to be that. I was like, what's so great about having a kid? But it changes your perception.
Wow, that's quite deep. That's quite deep.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's your subtle underlying factor to push you in terms of success. like your definition of success, in the sense that you really want to cater to your family, your son, to make him smile, in that sense, right? That's what matters at the end of the day. I think that really push you in terms of why you do what you do.
Yeah, I guess so. You have uncovered my why.
Then for your son, would you push him to be an entrepreneur or to a business owner in the future? Or would you
Actually,
encourage?
I would definitely encourage him. Because end of the day, right? I feel like our education system. I'm sure a lot of people have said this before, but is actually designed to push certain qualities out of people. Like, okay, so your academic results matters definitely. But then I think what's important is, like, aside from excelling just in academic, right, you need to know how to, in a sense, make money, really, because I think that skill is intangible. Like, it's not something that you can quantify. Like, I give you a test, then okay, from there I know like how much money you're gonna make. It's really end of the day, like, very intangible. Like, so I hope I can impart to him a certain money sense, how he can probably try his hand at investing, maybe, or stuff like that. But I would definitely not ask him to have, like, I mean, I would definitely not force him to, like, you must become a doctor or lawyer or whatsoever. But end of the day, as long as he's happy, he is able to provide for himself, then that's good enough.
In that sense, do you think that if keeping money is more important than getting more money, like managing your money comparing to bringing in more money, like the skill set?
Definitely prefer increasing the income rather than, like, managing money, because I I mean, I probably I probably can't manage my money that well. If I mean, if you give me a limited, in that sense, I prefer to. That means, what I mean is, I prefer to grow, like, grow my income rather than save more. Yeah.
I think it's not about just saving. It's more of like managing money. Like, I think we have seen overseas some younger generation, they might spend, say, $50,000 worth of on leather goods. Even though
Oh,
that's
right,
not the
right,
one.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
like in those type of contexts, rather than spending money wisely, rather than, in that sense, managing money. Is that still as relevant or is bringing in more money, earning more income, more important?
I guess if you say spending money wisely, that makes sense, because end of the day, you see a lot of those China full type, they squander the whole family's wealth. So, teaching them, like, that money sense is really very important. So they know, like, okay, maybe I should, control myself. If he ever, I don't know,
That's true.
if he
Yeah,
ever has that much money,
you never know,
and not,
right?
yeah, yeah, maybe I should, right? Put it into those trusts, instead of giving him one shot. Yeah, I think I will agree with you.
I think
Spending
both
money
is
wisely.
important. I think both is important.
Yeah, growing I mean, because end of the day, even if you can earn, let's say realistically, uh, $1 million a year, that is considered very elite. But if your spending habits are like insane as well, then there's really not much point because you're gonna spend what you have, and maybe 10, 20 years down the road, you're left with nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a mindset, right? Some people have the
Yeah.
YOLO mindset.
Yeah. But of course, if he buys actual like assets, then I think I'm cool with it. Like if he has perchance for buying property per se, then that's cool.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Maybe we can move on to quick fire questions. It'll be a short question, but your answer can be short or long, really up to you. What purchase maybe in the last 6 months that provide the most positive impact in your life?
Purchase. The stock count.
I guess so.
um, if just expenditure, I bought an Apple Watch. Then I am trying to monitor my health currently, like trying to close all the circles, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so that one has a bit of positive impact. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Next one. Is there a favorite word of yours?
Favorite word. I can't really think. Maybe yes. Like
Yes.
generally, I am very positive, so I prefer to hang around positive people. Like when you want to chill your friends out, you want to hear a yes, no. Yeah, so I guess generally positive words.
All right. All right. Your go-to comfort food.
Oh, that's a tough one. Um, Probably steak. Steak. I love steak.
So you can eat steak like if you have a choice to eat steak, will you eat steak like every 3 meals?
I can't. I mean, I'll be chewing until my jaw. Yeah, but I think the most I ever ate was one tomahawk myself. that was
Wow.
that was quite a challenge.
Wow. All right, the next one. How do you deal with doubt?
uh, I like to talk to people, so normally I will seek advice from a few of my closer friends. Then generally, also my parents. I think uh, the older folks have better insights in life, and we sometimes need to listen to them. Like even though they're very naggy, but there is wisdom in those nagging.
All right, all right. What do you spend a silly amount of money on?
I I would say almost almost, but I didn't stop myself. So I wanted to purchase this. I saw a very good deal So this BMW, but it's an old one. So I think down right now is not the time because there is money to be made.
That's
So
true.
I yeah actually didn't make that purchase, and kind of happy with my my decision now.
That's good. Like why do you want a car?
Oh, no, so I'm driving an old car. Then every guy's dream is to own a like BM or Merc. So I actually chance upon it's one of my friends' workshop. They have this X1, if you know BMW. I always love SUV because I'm a big guy. So uh, yeah, I just wanted the feeling to. So, but I would say it's extravagant purchase, and really like I said, maybe I'm not there yet, but I see better value where I can put my money somewhere else for now. Yeah, maybe 10 years down the road. It's still a dream. I'm not giving up on that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. If you could have dinner with any three person or three people, dead or alive, who will it be and why?
Actually, I did think of this back when it was, I think, some interview question in Times Magazine or something, right? So I would definitely want to meet like Ma Yun, but I really don't know at my level what can I learn from him. But probably something very abstract. But he's very interesting lah. So I would still definitely want to have dinner with him.
Sorry, what's his name again?
Ma Yun, Jack Ma,
Jack Ma.
Alibaba. Yeah. I hold his stock by the way. The other guy, maybe I think I would like Gordon Ramsay to like cook a meal for me, you know, because I mean like he's the in thing right now, culinary world. Everybody knows who he is, and yeah, as a fellow like foodie, maybe I'll try his cooking, see if it's really that good, or is it just YouTube editing? Yeah, I think the last person will be my grandfather. I think he passed away when I was 20. Um, so back then I actually grew up with him. So my parents back then they were working, so didn't really have time. Then when I actually grew sensible right now, I don't have time to. I mean, I never had that opportunity to really spend time with him. Yeah, so I think that's one bit of regret that I had.
Wow, that's quite deep.
No, like when growing up years, you won't think of your family, especially I think from secondary school all the way till maybe army. You, I mean, family is always like, oh, they are just there, Then one day they are not there anymore, and then you just like, wow. I mean, like maybe at my age now, I'm like, what was I doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think like we tend, at least some of us, we tend to be more rebellious at a certain stage, or at least like during the teen phase. As you mentioned, family is always there. When I go home, yeah, they'll always be there. Why not? Go hang out, chill with friends, or girlfriend or whatever at the point of time.
yeah, it's like more fun.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, I guess certain realization. Actually, I feel that my parents are like quite cool to hang around with. And yeah, so now I'm just more like family man, I guess.
That's good. That's good. Did this came about before or after your son was born?
I think after I got married, then slowly I became more like grounded. Then I realized actually, through tough times they are still there, and you know, so. But definitely, I think my son helps. Having him around is a plus point.
Of course. Always a joy.
Yeah.
All right. In terms of we are going into our closing segments. Is there any additional advice maybe you can give to those entrepreneurs or people who are on the fence, deciding whether they should start a business, especially right now?
Actually, to be very honest with you, because I met a lot of business owners during this period, especially, there is actually opportunities in crisis. So what I mean is that by that is that so certain companies that are not making it right, you can actually look to take over for a very discounted price. Um, Meaning you say you take over the whole shop with their equipment and all. And I mean for F&B especially, this is uh, I would say a very huge advantage that you have because you get it cheap. You don't have to obviously you have to do your homework and actually go and check if all these equipment are like working condition and stuff. But if assuming you get a fully functional shop at a 40-50% discount, you just have to write out. Then yeah, you're probably in the greens already. Yeah,
Nice, nice. So you are basically cutting your initial capital by at least half.
correct. Yeah,
Wow. Eh,
but of course
Is that
it's
why the Mukata idea came about?
have to do. uh, Partly also that because a lot of F&B they are not doing very well. So we actually, I mean, I saw this place that I am thinking of maybe potentially being going in at a discounted rate. Yeah. So, but really have to do your homework. I mean, I'm not advising to just go in blindly.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, so certain places they don't make it. It could also be the location and all. So you have to think of ways how you're gonna market your stuff, your thing that you're gonna do to attract the crowd. Yeah, so yeah, I think there's still opportunity, honestly.
All right. So thanks for the advice. Where can maybe the audience find you online or like reach out to you if they want to find out a bit more in terms of either working with you or in terms of like the bridging loans and SME loans?
Actually, you can just drop me a DM on this LinkedIn or Instagram. So my ID is LEWISLUU for Instagram, and for LinkedIn it's LEWISLUJL. That's my user ID.
All
Yeah,
right, I'll
just
link those in the show notes or the comment section right below as well.
yeah, happy to hear from you guys.
All right. Any other parting words so far?
No, that's been a very good session. Thanks
Sure.
for inviting me to it.
Sure. Thanks, Luis. Do look out for the next few episodes. I think you would be able to take some nuggets away as well.
Hey, thank you for listening to my interview with Louis. Here are my takeaways. 1. Take time to plan and map out the business plan so that in times of need, you may fall back to it. 2. Key to entrepreneurship is taking the step forward on the calculated risk of your venture. 3. Test and verify the results before pivoting or doing the next move. Do let me know your takeaways from this hot pot mix of insights. Cheers!